fellas, UFC Fantasy Matchups, if weight didn't exist. We're going to be going over some matchups today from different weight fighters in different weight classes who, in my opinion, would make a really good matchup against each other, whether that be because they'd be entertaining, whether that be because it'd be a war, whether that be because it's a stylistic dream. Whatever it may be, we're going to be matching up different fighters from different weight classes. Now, they must be at least two weight classes apart, or else it's kind of because the fight can't be inevitable. Like if I pick I don't know, Israel Adesanya versus Ankalaev, for example, I can't do that because obviously they're only one weight class apart. It's not really fair. And I'm also going to take into consideration that I'm aware that lower weight classes have a lot more skill than upper weight classes for obvious reasons. So, for example, a bantamweight is obviously going to be a lot more skilled than like a light heavyweight. But I'm going to be aware that, so I'm going to try and make it a little bit more fair. I'm going to try and raise the stock for the heavier opponents. But yeah, we're just going to get straight into this. Please let me know if you agree. Starting off with Alexander Volkanovski versus Tom Aspinall. Alexander Volkanovski is a great guy. Can't wait to punch his bald head in. This will be a great matchup. Two of the most balanced in their division. Alexander Volkanovski is the most balanced in bantamweight, arguably the most, not bantamweight, featherweight, arguably the most balanced in the UFC. And Tom Aspinall, he's already shown that he's finished every single one of his opponents that he's beaten. He's got fast striking, he's powerful, does lack a bit of defense, but his grappling's on another level. Like, he's one of the few people from the UK that can actually grapple. I'd say that Volkanovski, they've both got very crisp striking as well. Obviously, we saw Aspinall destroy Tabora. I just want to see Aspinall against some more top opponents, man. We've seen Volkanovski go through people like Holloway. We need to see Aspinall beat people like Cyril Gane on the feet if we're going to talk about that sort of style. But I'd say Volkanovski has slightly better striking. He seems to be a little bit better than Aspinall on the feet, but when it comes to ground game, I've seen a lot more from Aspinall. He's been doing jiu-jitsu his whole life. He's taken people down. He's submitted them. He's out-wrestled people like it's nothing. I mean, what he did to Volkov on the ground was insane. And obviously, Alexander Volkanovski's got good grappling as well. He managed to hold his own against Islam. What he did to Yair Rodriguez with that takedown and that combination was insane as well. And this could be for the NMFF. I can't speak today. NMF belt. Both of the nicest fighters in the UFC, excluding Wonderboy. There would be zero trash talk in this fight, but this would be the best of the two divisions. It would be so amazing to see. And the thing is, you couldn't bet where the fight's going to go. The fight could go to the ground. The fight could stay on the feet. Personally, if I had to say who's going to be the winner, I'd probably go Volkanovski, but I don't see him finishing Aspinall. If we're talking just pure on skill, I think it would be Volkanovski winning by decision. I've seen a lot more from him, but let's not count Aspinall out. He's only had a couple fights in the UFC. He's had 6 fights in the UFC, 7 fights. So you got to give him time. So right now, I'd say Volkanovski wins this fight, but that is a great matchup. Next up, we have Dricus du Plessis versus Justin Gaethje. This would be a dogfight. I mean, when we talk about a dogfight, we've got Justin Gaethje, who's got some crazy knockout power, who finishes a large majority of the fights, and it'll be dogfight. Justin Gaethje just coming off a knockout against Dustin Poirier. Got Dricus du Plessis. I'll be the first African champion in the UFC. That's who I'll be. Dricus du Plessis, same guy, powerful. I do want to see a little bit better cardio from him, because the thing about Justin Gaethje is that obviously he's got cardio for days. Justin Gaethje can go, especially after his recent fights with people like Chandler, he can go 5 rounds. Whereas I don't think Dricus du Plessis could go 5 rounds. I mean, he has got a proper nose now, and we saw that he has, he's got slightly better stamina in the Whittaker fight, but I'm not sure he'd be able to push a pace against Gaethje for 5 rounds. But it would be a dogfight. One of them could get slept at any moment because, like I said, both got great power. Dricus du Plessis, the only guy to finish Whittaker in the UFC, excluding Adesanya, only got to knock out Whittaker in the UFC, excluding Adesanya. And obviously Gaethje KO'd Edson Barboza, KO'd Poirier recently, KO'd other people as well. This will be a banger of a fight, and I can guarantee there'll be blood. I can guarantee it'll be a dogfight. I think this would be actually better as a 3-rounder than a 5-rounder, because I feel like in a 5-rounder, that's when it'd get boring in the last 2 rounds, because Dricus would just be breathing for days. If this was a 3-round fight, I'd probably go with I don't know, because they both got wrestling as well. They can both grapple. I'm probably gonna have to go with Gaethje, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dricus pulled it off because Dricus du Plessis has some of the best heart in the UFC. This would be such a good fight if the weights didn't matter. So I'd love to see this fight. Next up, we have Edson Barboza versus Alex Periera. I've been thinking of this matchup for a while. This is a banger. This would be a kickboxing masterclass. Both Brazilian kickboxers. I genuinely don't know who to pick because Edson Barboza, obviously, I know he's at a smaller weight class, he's at featherweight, but he's quick. That knockout he got over, who was it? The Baldy. I forgot what he's called. There's that famous spinning knockout he got. I forgot what he's called though. Yeah, Edson Barboza with some great knockouts on there. Even he's such a threat on the feet as well as Barboza. If you stand with him on the feet, and he's coming off a win over, was it Billy? I'm not even. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's coming off a knockout win over Billy, which was insane. That knee to the face. So Edson Barboza still got it, and Alex Pereira, obviously one of the best strikers in the UFC, rocked Yambel Horwich, KO'd Adesanya, KO'd Sean Strickland, other finishers in the UFC. Yeah, this would be such a banger. This would be a kickboxing masterclass from both of them. Wouldn't know who to pick. Extremely, and there would not be any grappling in there. You think Pereira's going to go into a fight trying to grapple? You think Barboza's going to try and grapple? I mean, we already saw what he did against Bryce Mitchell. But yeah, this would be such a good matchup. I really want this to happen. This is one of the ones on this list that I genuinely really want to happen because it's kind of like they've both met their match, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like they've both met their match. So I just want to see it. I just want to see this fight already. But yeah, I'll probably end up going for if I had to pick, I'd probably go Edson Barboza because I think I've seen a little bit more. But if Alex Pereira got a left hand knockout on him, left hook knockout, I would not be surprised. Well, that's a banger of a fight. Next up, we got Garry versus Yair Rodriguez. This would be a kicking matchup for Des. Another kickboxing masterclass from both of them. You got Garry coming off a win, destroyed Neil Magny on the feet. I don't know how he didn't finish him. Also got a knockout over Daniel Rodriguez, and Yair Rodriguez, obviously one of the best strikers in the featherweight division. The only people he's lost to recently are Volkanovski and Holloway. Destroyed Josh Emmett on the feet as well. Managed to get a last second knockout over Korean Zombie. Yair Rodriguez is a great kicker and he's got some decent Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but I don't think that'd come into this fight. Garry versus Rodriguez would be, I mean, they're both rangy as well. Yair Rodriguez is probably the most rangy, maybe excluding like a Holloway, probably the most rangy at was it featherweight, and I'd say he's the best kicker at featherweight as well. Garry, again, very rangy as well. Very good with his range. He knows where to be at most times, besides when he's getting, dropped by unranked fighters. Both got insane kicks, and it'll be a really fun matchup as well. I genuinely, if I had to pick a winner, I'd probably go Garry because I've seen a little bit more from him than Yair Rodriguez, and he's undefeated. Yair Rodriguez isn't, so Yair Rodriguez would have some weaknesses coming into this fight because he has lost. Garry might be able to pick up on those if he's smart, but I don't know. Garry just doesn't come across as a smart person to me, but either way, I'd probably go Garry winning this fight. It'll be a tough fight for both of them, but I'd love to see this fight. Yair Rodriguez, both of them probably going to land some sharp body kicks. Both of them going to land some sharp head kicks, but I'd probably go Garry by decision. I think I'd go decision for Garry. And yeah, I'd go Garry. Next up, we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Charles the Bronx Oliveira. I feel like they're both very, very similar. No one talks about this. They're both Brazilian. They're both amazing at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're both powerful on the feet, both pressure fighters. This would be kind of the two of the same people fighting at different weight classes. You've got Charles Oliveira who likes to put pressure on his opponents early, and same for Alexandre Pantoja. The second the fight starts, he's out there swinging. Obviously, I don't even need to talk about their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Charles Oliveira, best BJJ in the UFC. Pantoja, at least the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in flyweight. That's what wins in most of his fights. This would be, both got power as well. I mean, Alexandre Pantoja, the power that he put on Moreno when he was hitting Moreno, because of his power, that's kind of what won him a lot of the exchanges on the feet. I know Moreno's a more technically sound fighter on the feet than Pantoja, but Pantoja's like power is what makes his striking effective. And obviously Oliveira uses his power to find his submissions. He doesn't really tend to take people down like we've seen in fights like the Gaethje fight and other fights where he drops his opponents with striking, and then when he drops them, that's when he'll go for that's when he'll go for a submission. This would be a banger of a fight. They'd both be in striking. It's kind of just who gets dropped first. I feel like it would be a case of who gets dropped first. If I had to pick a winner, I'm probably gonna have to go Charles Oliveira because he's shown a lot more against some high class opponents. I think he'd probably end up dropping Pantoja because Pantoja for me seems a little bit too wild, and when he's against a guy like Charles Oliveira, I can see Oliveira dropping him, and then it would just go to a bit of a. I don't think he'd submit Pantoja in the first. I think it'd be a bit of a grappling how do you say it? I think it'd be a little bit of a grappling matchup for the first 2 rounds, and then later on in the rounds I can see Oliveira picking up a submission from somewhere, but it's kind of like they've both met their match if they were to fight each other. So I'm going to go with this one. And finally, I've got the matchup we all want to see, Paddy Pimblett versus John Jones. This would just be great. I mean, do we even need to... Does weight even need to matter? Why don't we just do John Jones now versus Paddy Pimblett? Hell in a Cell, last man standing, whatever it may be. Get some steel chairs. I can't speak today. Get some steel chairs in there. Get a table in there. This would satisfy a lot of fans. Seeing Paddy Pimblett get wrecked by Jones would definitely satisfy a lot of fans, including me. Paddy Pimblett stands no chance. It'll be Jones more, and I actually question if this would be legal. Like, even if they were the same weight, is this even a legal fight? Like, would Paddy Pimblett come out alive? I don't know if Paddy Pimblett would come out alive. I think Jones would probably end up doing like a standing guillotine until Paddy Pimblett goes to sleep, and then he'd probably finish him with some elbow ground and pound. I don't know. Paddy Pimblett, man, I don't know. I still think Paddy Pimblett would win by split decision. Now, knowing Pimblett, he'd probably get put to sleep, and then after that, he'd probably break his neck, break his arm, get put to sleep again, wakes back up, spinning elbow, people's elbow to the face, and then judges decide that's a split decision win for Pimblett. But this would be a banger in the fight. I can't wait to see this. UFC 295, get rid of Stipe, put Paddy Pimblett in there, steel cage, Hell in a Cell, whatever it may be. Let's get this fight booked right now. Paddy Pimblett versus John Jones. Let's do it. But yeah, please let me know if you agree with these takes. That is my UFC fantasy matchups if weight didn't exist or weight didn't matter. Please let me know if you agree or disagree, and thank you for watching.